And so this morning, as I was just seeking Abba, in terms of what he wants me to say, I mean, there's so much that I can really share. But what is Abba wanting to really do in the time that we're in? And what is Abba wanting to do in this area? And what is Abba doing in this time, in the season that we're in? Because, you know, with every season, he works in seasons. That's why we've got the feasts. And we've just had a time of a timing of feasting, that we first had Pesach, that we were preparing for Pesach. And just as we went into lockdown, we were preparing for the Pesach. And then from the Pesach, we were preparing for first fruits. And then we had the first fruits. And then in the first fruits, we were in the time of this unleavened bread. So it was the Pesach, the unleavened bread, the first fruits. And then from first fruits, we were preparing for Shavuot. And now we had Shavuot. And now what are we preparing for? Because now we are again in a time of preparation. And what is the preparation? The preparation that we are in now is the time of Yom Teruah. And then again, we will have that time of all those feasts upon us again. Just like now we had a time of all those feasts upon us. And so now we are again in a time of preparation for all the feasts that are going to come from the time of Yom Teruah. And so this is a long time, because we've got the whole month of June, we've got July, we've got August, and we've got part of September. Towards the end of September, we will be having Yom Teruah. So it's not even 4 months. And now we're already almost halfway through June. So basically we can say it's just over 3 months that we've got to prepare. And so what is Father wanting to be able to do with his beloveds in this time? What is he doing with his set apart people in this time? What does he want? And so the way he uses me, like I said to you, we are all different. And we must never try to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. Please, if there's one thing that I learned, I ran a recruitment agency for 9 years. So I used to find people jobs. And in that recruitment agency, you know what, people used to come for the job interview, and now I used to sit there, and the person would sit and give me the whole spiel of what they wanted me to hear. Because now they want a job. When they were finished, I would say to them, now why don't you really tell me what you are about? After you told me what I want to hear, now I want you to tell me who you really are. And what you really want to do. Because you see, we prep ourselves up. And that's what sometimes we do before the Father. We try to put on a big show for him in the things that we do for him. Because we're trying to impress him and we're trying to please him. And we prep ourselves up, and at the end of the day, what he's wanting to do is strip you naked. He wants to strip you of all your clothes so that you can stand before him naked. And when he stripped you of all your clothes and you stand before him naked, then he can start to use you the way that he wants to use you. And so that's why I used to say to them always, do not be second best of someone else, but be the best of who he created you to be. But how many times in our life are we trying to be second best of someone else as opposed to embracing who you are and being the best of who he created you to be? And so it's because we're not thin enough. It's because we're not pretty enough. It's because we don't have thick enough hair. It's because we didn't look a certain way, and we compare ourselves to others, and this one is more bold and that one's more timid, and this one is more like this and this one is more like that. And we spend so much of our life trying to be like the other person as opposed to looking at yourself and just being the best of who the Father created you to be. Mm-hmm. And embracing yourself and allowing him to love you the way that you are. Do you know that when I was diagnosed with cancer, one of the deepest root in me of my cancer that I had in my colon stemmed from self-hate. And one day when I had to sit down and be honest with myself, when the Father really sat with me and he said, Natalia, let's sit down, me and you. And let me look at you, and let's work through you. And why don't you tell me, what is it about you that you actually like? Do you know that I am appalled to say, I am disgusted to say, that there literally was nothing about me that I actually liked. Nothing. I had brown hair. I didn't want brown hair because blonde or black is better, but brown is just brown. I mean, it's dull. Who wants brown? If we've got brown, we wanted blonde. If we've got blonde, we wanted black, because we're not happy with what we've got, isn't it? If you got brown eyes, you don't want brown eyes. There was a time I used to wear contact lenses to make them green or blue or whatever, because brown is dull. It's not good. It's not nice. I didn't want to be tall. I wanted to be short. I wanted to be petite. I wanted to be small. I didn't like Natalia. I wanted the name Angie. I even won a beauty contest at the Sky Rink in Johannesburg as a name under Angie, because I never liked Natalia. So when he sat down with me and he said, what about you do you like? I never liked my big hands. I never liked my long fingers. I never liked the fact that I was a size 7, size 8 shoe, because I wanted to be small and petite. I didn't want these long legs. I didn't want these long arms. There was nothing about me that I liked. Does it sound familiar? Oh, then you're not thin enough. Then I used to be weighing 56 kilograms and taking nobies, for goodness sake, because, as tall as what I was, weighing 56 kilograms, because I was 2 kilos over what I was. After I got married, I picked up 2 kilos, then I was taking nobies because I wasn't thin enough. But that is how we go through life. Just not being satisfied with how the Father created us to be. And we're always looking at the neighbor and thinking, if I could just be like that, then I'm going to be happy. As opposed to coming before the Father and saying, Father, thank you for the way that you made me. Thank you that I have been created the way I was created. You know, when I went into Africa, when I've been into Togo and into Benin and into Congo and into all those areas, I thank the Father so much for my dark eyes and my darker skin and my browner hair, because if I had had the blue eyes and the blonde hair, I would have stood out like a sore thumb. But me being a little bit more dark and being a little bit more dark eyes and dark hair, I fitted in like a glove. When I go into the Arab areas, like when I've been into Turkey, and I've had to be into Jordan, and I've gone into Egypt, and I go into those places where it's mainly Arabs, you don't want to have blonde hair and blue eyes, because those Arab men will want to sweep you away. So it is better for me to blend and look like one of them. And He's created us the way He's created us, because there is a purpose and a plan for who He created you to be and how He created you to be. But how many days of our life have we spent wanting to be in the shoes of someone else? You know, I have sat with a prophet, 76 years of age. Now imagine if at the age of 76 years of age, you still have to put false eyelashes on. And you still want to go and have a tummy tuck. There's something seriously wrong with you. At 76. Who are you trying to impress? And this is the thing that we need to understand. Father wants to create us to become His beloved bride, the way He created us to be that bride. Not to look like someone else, not to sound like someone else, not to worship like someone else, not to dress like someone else, but to be who He created us to be. I mean, I can look at Carol and the way that she dresses, and I think it's so beautiful, and I say, you look just like the Jewish woman in Israel. I look at you and I just see these Jewish women. She's short and petite and just like the Jewish woman. But it's not my style. And it's okay for it not to be my style. And I can be how He created me to be, and I can wear the clothes that He got me to wear, because that's how He wants me to be. Because that's what suits me. But the minute I am trying to be like someone else, what am I doing? I am saying to Abba Yahuwah, that which you created is not good enough. Isn't it? And let me tell you something, when the Father really sat with me, I had to cry so many tears for me to be able to understand that the deepest hatred that I had within me and the deepest unforgiveness that I had within me that brought the cancer in my colon was the self-hate that I had for myself, because I couldn't accept myself the way that I was. Imagine as a little girl entering beauty contests and everything and never ever seeing yourself as being beautiful. And if still today someone will say to me, oh, you're so beautiful, I think, okay, whatever. It's all right. Let them see what they see. I don't see what they see, but if they can see it, wonderful. I'm so happy, Abba. All glory to you. And here we are. And this is why I'm having to say this. Because why am I saying this? Because as Abba has to place me here in Ardenwold, and he said, Garden of Eden, place of solitude and beauty. And I thought, yo, Abba, what are you trying to tell me about your bride with that? Because at the end of the day, the way Abba uses me, whatever I go through is generally what the bride has to go through. So if I am being stripped and whatever, like I said, when sometimes like I sit and if I share about my life and the things that I've had to go through and how the Father stripped and stripped and stripped and stripped and stripped, I really have had to be a forerunner of what stripping is about. And like now, even just when, imagine you're not comfortable for 7 months. I'm living with my son. I'm very comfortable. I'm happy. I've made peace. Because for a whole week I had cried. There was a time I was crying every day because I was longing to be in Israel. And I couldn't see when I'm going to go back. And because I can't see when I'm going to go back, there was a sadness in me. And every morning I was waking up crying because I longed to be there. And I imagine you're going into winter. You didn't prepare winter clothes. You didn't prepare winter things. You didn't come to be here for winter. You didn't prepare for this. But now you've got to come out of your little shell and you've got to start just making the most of what you got. And all of a sudden now you're being uprooted again. And I say, Father, what have I done? I didn't do anything, but people tell me again, you got to leave. You're not welcome here. I haven't even done anything, and the people said I'm not welcome there without doing anything. But you see, I had to come to understand they are just doing the persecution. Every time you get persecuted, it just mobilizes you to the next place. So pack your bag, it's time to go. And then when Elsie and I sat down, we had to laugh. Because why? If we had been in Israel, we would have landed on that 16th or whatever, the 17th of March we would have landed. And now, on the 8th of June, we were flying to Italy. So we would have been in the process of packing a bag anyway. And we would have been packing a bag and we would have been going to Italy, and I would have now been in Italy for 2 weeks. And I was going to go from the north of the south of Italy, ministering all over Italy. And then from there, I was going to go to Portugal, and I was going to be in Portugal for 4 weeks. And then I was going to be coming back, and then I was going to be in Israel for like about 2 weeks, and then from there I was going to be going all over Greece and Turkey. So I was going to be living out of a bag anyway. So why was I getting myself all worked up now? Because now I'm going to be uprooted, packing bags, getting upset, getting myself in my snot and trana and alles wat nou met dit kom. And now I'm like upset. And the Father said, but Allah, you would have been traveling now anyway with a bag. So what's your problem? Just get with the program. But you see, we become so secure in where we are that when the Father wants to kick the eagle out of the nest, the eagle doesn't want to fly. Sure. Because the eagle becomes very comfortable. But remember, when the mother brings little baby eagles, Do you know what the mother eagle starts to do, the mother and the father eagle? They start to remove the feathers of the nest. And they start to remove one feather at a time. So when you're sitting there, it's like a comfy, it's fluffy. Those feathers are fluffy. But when you start to remove the feathers, and that nest is made out of twigs, it starts to poke that little eagle. And then the eagle starts to feel uncomfortable until eventually she's got to kick it out and it's got to fly. And so that is what the Father's going to do in our lives. The Father is going to start making us uncomfortable. And that's what's starting to happen around us. We are starting to see the world is going into chaos. And we are going to have to understand that we're going to have to prepare ourselves for many things that is ahead of us. And so when I had to come here and again be uncomfortable, and it's now starting all over again, you must understand, I don't live here. I say to the Father, now why the heck must I go buy a pan? Why the heck must I go buy another blanket? I don't live here. I don't need these things. I have a flat with everything I need. My apartment has got everything. Now I must go spend money for what? And start all over again. I haven't got anything here. I don't live here. I live there. So if I'm here, I'm visiting, I'm in, I'm out, I'm maybe here 6 weeks, and then I'm out, or I'm here 2 months. Okay, this time I overstayed my welcome. I stayed 4 months. And now I've way gone past the time of staying. And now, to be honest with you, the reason why I cried for a week was because I was starting to feel I'm not going back. And that's what was very depressive for me. Because I was thinking, why would you put me through all of that? Why would you want me to set up this apartment, set up everything, and now you don't want to send me back? Why would you do that? And what if it was not for you? What if it's for someone else? Make peace with it. Because you see, we have this thing, we are our own, but we are not our own. We have been bought with a price, and we don't belong to ourselves. And that is the problem. We want to be somewhere else, or we want to be like someone else, and we are not happy to be exactly where He's placed us and to be able to do exactly what He's wanting us to do right now. And I think that's the thing that He's doing. And that's why when I said to Him, okay, Father, what is the purpose for me coming here now, and what is this about? So Arden means Garden of Eden. And what is it that the Father has been saying to me for so long? You need to return back to the Garden of Eden. So the bride is coming back to the Garden of Eden to be able to once again eat from the tree of life. And when she starts to eat from the tree of life, that life, that He has to give her, is going to fulfill her to such a degree that she's going to reflect His solitude and His beauty. So we then enter into the solitude, and that solitude is actually, the word will be tranquility and shalom. Are we not supposed to be those that live in the shalom? No matter what is around us. We are to, when Yeshua was on the boat, when the waves were going wild and the wind, and the disciples who knew the Sea of Galilee, and I mean, I've been there when I've seen that sea. That Sea of Galilee is a lake. It's as quiet, it's dead, it's still, like you will go to a lake that there's nothing. You can see the reflection of the mountains in the water because there isn't even a wave. But when the wind picks up, there's waves. That is like a sea. And it can be hectic out there. And they knew, they were fishermen, they knew the sea. And now they're getting worked up. But Yeshua, what was He doing? Sleeping peacefully. And what did He say to them? Are you of little faith? Because why can you not be sleeping? If you knew who I am, and that if I am in the boat with you, you are not going to drown. Because I will not leave you. I will not forsake you. I am with you in this boat. And I will see you through. But you see, to get to that place, you need to eat from the tree of life. Because when He gives you that life, then you have nothing to worry about, because He becomes your source. And when you understand your life is not your own, and He's the one feeding you in everything that you do, in everything that you are, you have no need to even look at the tree of knowledge. But for too long, we have eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That even though it looks good, it is still evil. And so a while ago, I put together a message. And this morning, and I'm not going to be able to finish the message. I started the message and I still haven't finished the message, because every time I only get through the beginning of the message. And at the appointed time, it will be one that I will do a series on. And it's called, we can think we are so sincerely right, but we can be so deceived to be wrong. Because that's what religion has done to us. What religion has done to us is it's got us to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And this tree of knowledge of good and evil give us a security blanket, but when that security blanket has been taken from you, what helps you to stand? When that has been taken from you, what do you stand on? So if you have a leader and all you do is you look to this leader, and this leader is the source of the one that is giving you everything that you need, and this leader is no longer there, what do you do then? How do you stand? Especially if all the leader gave you was knowledge of good and evil, eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Then how do you stand? Because a leader, a true leader of Abba Yahuwah, is supposed to be teaching you to get back to the source, which is Abba Yahuwah Himself. And when that leader brings you back to being able to eat from the tree of life, then nothing is going to move you. Because then you will know how to stand. Because at the end of the day, is that not what Yeshua did? Yeshua said, I didn't come to do my work. Everything I do for the Father. And what did He do? To bring them back to having that intimacy with the Father. That's why He said, when you see me, you see the Father. I do not speak my own words. Everything I give you is from my Father. And so everything about Yeshua when He walked with them is to be able to give them the words that was going to bring life. So that they would come back to eating from the tree of life. But you see, for so long, we have been in churches, in places, that's giving us more and more knowledge, eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that even that which seems good, in the end is going to be evil. Because it's not going to help us to stand. And that is why He's making sure that we can come back to the Garden of Eden. Because in the Garden of Eden is where Adam and Eve walked with Him in the cool of the day, in intimacy. And that is what He requires of us. He requires of us to be so intimate with Him that if we are just here and all of a sudden He drops something in your spirit and says, I need you to say this, then you are free to do that. Religion cannot do that with you. Religion teaches you how to be able to do a bunch of things that gives you the security blanket that you need. But now let's look and see what has happened to the church right now. All these people that put all their security in these churches, where are they right now? Where are those people that all they knew to do was to take their Bible on a Sunday, go to church on a Sunday, and now we take out our Bible, and now we listen to a message, and this is what we need to be fed for the week. And now in all these months that church was closed, what were those people doing? Where are those people? Because this is now when you're going to start to see the difference between the sheep and the sheep, and the sheep and the goats. And this is when you're going to start seeing the sifting that's going to start taking place. Because you see, the only way that you know who you really are is when the Father brings you to a place where you have to stand alone. And there's nothing there. Can you still stand? Will you still serve Him? Will you still love Him? Will you still praise Him? Will you still read His Word? And even when there's nobody there to lead you, will you still be able to serve Him? Because He didn't leave you. Man left you, but He never left you. And He wants you to be able to cultivate your relationship with Him, so that when there's no one there, it's you and Him. And your security will be in Him and Him alone. And so what has He done? He's taken a bunch of eagles and He's chucked them out of the nest. That's what He's done. He's taken a bunch of eagles, because all of you are eagles. You're all supposed to soar. You all have a call. You all have a destiny. You all have a work that you're supposed to be doing for Him. And there He says, I'm going to kick all of you out of the nest and I'm going to get you to fly, because you are the eagles. You are not meant to be able to sit huddling. You are eagles that are meant to be able to fly. Eagles dwell with other eagles, but eagles are the ones that are supposed to be able to be the ones helping the others that are out there, because we are called to be able to bring in the harvest for the Father. And so we are a bunch of eagles that has been taking the feathers out, and He took another feather, and it became a little bit more uncomfortable until eventually He said, now I'm going to kick you all out of the nest, and now you're going to have to fly. But in the midst of your flying, wow, look back at where you are now. Haven't you progressed? I want you to see where you are right now. Have you not progressed? Have you not had to find truth for yourself? Have you not had to go deeper with Him? Has it not forced you to be able to check your hearts and see things that are there that needed to be, that you might not have known was there, but only when it happens to you do you really know what's there? Listen, if you would have told me that I had any pride in the car that I drove, I would have said you're rubbish. I had no pride in my heart for the car that I drove, because it didn't bother me. I've never been a one for flashy car. I couldn't care what car I drove. I was never one that had to drive the 4x4, that had to drive the BM or the name brand or whatever. It didn't bother me. But you know what? When my car was repossessed and I was left with a bakkie, a little bantam bakkie, and now we go to this, I was invited to go to this church, this African church, and these African people are coming out of there, these black people, and they got the big cars, the BMWs, the 4x4s, and my bantam bakkie even battles to get reverse in. Okay? So we got to first try put it into second, it doesn't even go into first. And now we've got to try to get the reverse gear going, and I'm praying up a storm, and I'm sitting there and I'm saying, Father, what? And now I'm the only white woman there driving in this little bantam bakkie. You want to see me wanting to hide my head away under the steering wheel. But if you told me I had pride, I would have said, no, I didn't have any pride. Just after that, I was invited to a business meeting where it was all these business people that I've been fellowshipping with them for a long time. So you know what I did? I parked my bakkie outside. I didn't park it in the parking lot where everybody had their car. I went and parked it outside. I waited for everybody to leave, and when everybody left, then I went and climbed into my bakkie, and the Father said, why you do that? I said, Father, I didn't want to park it inside. He says, why you lie to yourself? You are embarrassed by what you're driving. And I had to face the reality that I was embarrassed, because it was a downgrade for me in where I was in my life. He says, how would you like it if you had no car? Oh, don't worry about it. From then bantam bakkie, it went even lower, because then I was given, my brother gave me this old Honda Ballade. Old Honda Ballade. So go a little bit further down, my child, because I need to humble you a little bit more. And you know what, every time I used to drive that car, because now it wasn't just a bakkie, I could put my boys in it, and it wasn't a bad fact. Imagine when your car gets repossessed in the April and you're going into winter. And you know, sometimes in that April, May, that rain can still come, and we're driving, it's cold, and my boys are in the back of that bakkie, and the rain is coming, and I'm saying, Father, what did I do to deserve this? Look at this, it's freezing cold, my boys are there, and I don't even have a car. And it wasn't nice. But that was the only wheels that we had at the time. Then my brother gave me this old, dilapidated Honda Ballade. You know how grateful I was for that Honda Ballade. Even in the days that I'd have to get up in the morning, when the mist is there, there's no humidity demister. And now you're trying to scrape the ice off it. And now you're driving in the ice cold wind, and you've got to put down those windows, and then you put it down, it might not go back up again, so you must just be careful how you put it down. So then that window goes down and it's freezing cold just to get some air in. And you're just grateful that at least you got a car. Because for how many months you sat without a car, because that lucky my husband was going to work and I had to sit and I could go nowhere because I didn't have another car. So you see how we take things in life for granted. But the Father is saying, I'm going to strip you so that you can stand before me naked, so that you can be the one that I created you to be and be a light that shines. But you cannot be a light if you're still eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. For you to be the light that I want to shine, I've got to strip you from everything that is in you that is not of me. On the outside, on the inside, in your religious mindsets, in everything. And right now, He's taking us through a process. And so if things have been uncomfortable, and if things have not been, as not really been a place that we feel that we've cried many tears, I want you to understand that every tear that you have cried is because of a work that He's doing deeper within you to strip you from things that are there so that you can finally be the eagle that He created you to be, so that you can shine the light in the days that are ahead of us. And right now you might sit and think, I'm up to nothing. I do nothing. I am absolutely hidden. I have word for you that just last week's Torah portion reading was, He's brought you into the wilderness and He's going to elevate you. So you see, in the wilderness, He strips you so that He can elevate you. But He cannot strip you unless to elevate you. Because if you get elevated, that He's not the one who's elevating you. It's nothing but puffed upness and pride. So there's many that He's going to humble. Because they've puffed themselves up. And they've put themselves in this position. And they have gone and soared up there. But don't worry. He's going to clip their wings and He's going to bring them down to the dust. Because from dust we came and from dust we shall return. Because in that Garden of Eden, He doesn't want us eating from any other tree. But that is when they walked naked, isn't it? Did they have other clothes on? No. He stripped them. They didn't have clothes. And it was only when they went and ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that they had to put the clothes on to be able to cover themselves, because now the true beauty of the Father was no longer being able to shine. And so we've got to go back, stripping to get back to the Garden of Eden. And that is what He's in the process of doing, stripping us. So yes, if maybe we were in that place where, we could wear our hair beautiful and loose, and you got this beautiful hair, and that's the only thing that I can say today that I've got nice is I've got beautiful hair. But if He decides now you're going to cover it, well, it's a bit of a stripping. It's a little bit more removing for you. And He's stripping us always. Why? Because we're becoming more and more naked. And the more He brings us to be naked, the more His beauty is shining forth. So the more He strips us, the more of Him there is. Less of you and more of Him. More of you, more of you. But less of you, more of Him. And that is what He's in the process of doing. So you see, let's look at this. I'm going to read you some of the notes that I have written on this. And it says, we can have things in our lives that is demonically wrong. So we can think that this is so religious and it's right. It feels right me doing it. But it's demonically wrong. Because it's a religious thing. And it's still eating from the tree of the knowledge of good. Even what is good in His eyes is still going to be evil. Because it doesn't come from the source of life. Only that which comes from Him brings life. Everything else will bring bondage. And that's what we need to remember. He doesn't want us in bondage. He wants us in freedom. So believe it or not, even a head covering for a woman can be freedom. Why? I don't need to worry about if the hair greys are coming out, and I don't need to worry about going to dye the hair right now. I don't need to worry about those things. It's a freedom. I don't even need to worry if the hair doesn't look good right now this morning, because I can just cover it. It's okay. And if I don't want to cover it, then it's fine.
Especially now that the hairdressers are still closed.
Do you understand? So you see, what are you being prepared for is what I'm saying to you. So they are the last ones that are going to open. What are you being prepared for? Stripping you. Stripping you from those things that you feel you need. That you don't need. Because we cannot be who He created us to be. Because we're so busy trying to be something that He didn't create us to be. And what we don't understand, the more we strip ourselves, the more freedom there is. Oh my goodness, what freedom there is. We women have put a lot of stuff on ourselves. Just to get ourselves ready can be an issue. When we got to make ourselves up and do all these things that go with us, isn't it? It's a burden that it can. Maar sodra daardie goed is weg is it's no longer a burden. When those things are gone, it's no longer a burden. Because you don't need to worry about it anymore. Because there's a freedom in just being free. Do you understand? I know it's not an easy word to hear. Because this one isn't easy. People say, Natalia, look, you know what? Maybe it's easy for you, but you don't understand where I come from. Oh, I do understand where you come from. My goodness, I used to be a model that knows what it's like to be on a catwalk. And I know what it's like to, and I'm also getting the wrinkles and the everything else that goes with it that I'd also like to cover up. And I also see the spots that are coming out that I don't like either. Hey, it's part of growing old gracefully. Hello, you're 50 years of age. Age gracefully. That's what it's about. I don't need to look like the 20-year-old. I've been 20. I've been 30. I was skeletal. I've done it. I was there. Okay, so now we've got to have an extra role that comes. So what? It's okay. It's part of goes with the package. You're not supposed to look like the skeletal. It's because you want to get into those tight jeans. You want to get into those nice, sexy jeans. Don't worry, I'll get rid of them all from your cupboard. And then you don't have that pressure when the little bit of roll comes because now you are that age. Isn't it? Then there's no more pressure because the jeans are no longer there. It makes it easier for you. Father tries to make things easy for us, but we complicate it. We have complicated our lives. You know why? Because we're trying to conform to the world. Yes. And who's the one who puts pressure on us? The world. You know, the way that I am dressed right now, I can look and say, wow, Natalie, you look so beautiful. But if my worldly friends were to look at me, they say, maar jy lyk soos 'n regte tannie. A 50-year-old tannie. That's what they would say to me because they're still trying to look like their teenage daughters. Yeah. That's the difference. They're trying to fit into the clothes of their teenage daughters and they're trying to be in competition with their teenage daughters and they're not willing to be able to grow gracefully with the age that they are. But you see, there's a freedom in my life because I don't need to stress about that. And I can walk and think, wow, look and say, wow, Natalia, you know, you actually look, you really reflect the King this morning. Because that's what I want to do. I want to reflect my King. I don't want to reflect my teenage daughter, which I don't have one, thank the Father. But I don't want to reflect. Now, I didn't get girls because the Father didn't want me to have girls. I think girls can be more difficult than boys. And I didn't understand that because I cried many tears to have a girl. You see, I cried many tears. I never had a sister, but now I have Elsie. I never had a sister. I had 2 older brothers. So I know what it's like to be a girl only and 2 older brothers. But I'm a mother of boys. I know how to handle boys. I've always handled boys. So I know how to handle boys. I wouldn't know how to handle a girl. Because if my boys would just cry when I was brushing the hair, man, the brush would knock on the head. Now with my nieces, when I'm trying, they wanted long hair like Talia. We want to look like Talia. We want long hair like Talia. And the mother would say, Natalia, you and that long hair, it's making it a problem for my daughter. Because they all wanted to have long hair like Talia, because the mothers didn't have long hair, but Talia had long hair, so they all wanted long hair like Talia. Now it comes to brushing that hair, and that hair is full of knots, and she goes, nothing. Anya, no, I don't have a girl. And I'm brushing that hair, and I'm thinking, oh, I would cut this hair up straight if you were to carry on like this. See, so I now understand why I didn't get given a girl. I had boys, but I love little girls. But, so, do you understand? In everything, the Father is trying to bring us a freedom. But we put things on ourselves that has brought a heavy yoke and a heavy burden. And we need to lighten ourselves. Because the days that are coming, and that's what I need to prepare people. All along, ever since the Father called me, I've been saying destruction is coming. There are friends of mine that when they see me, even in Israel, destruction is coming, because when they see me, that's what they make fun of me, because that's all I say. Because I'm like Noah that says the flood is coming. And I'm saying destruction is coming, you better prepare. Because what are you going to do the day that you're going to have to run and those things are not there? Are you going to be at peace with yourself in what is done to prepare you? Because it's going to be that less of a burden for you. So, it says we now need truth in the innermost parts. We need to get out of our doctrines of demons that we have received and truly come back to the truth. If the enemy can get us to believe a lie, then we become deceived. If we are deceived, then we are open to not being blessed by Abba. Because deception keeps us in what? In bondage, and then we will receive the curse that comes with it. Disobedience brings us to the curse. We need to submit to Yahuwah, resist the devil, and he will flee. So that's James 4 verse 7. So when we submit to Yahuwah in every area of our lives, then we resist the devil, and then he flees. But you see, we're trying to fight the devil without submission to Yahuwah. That ain't going to help. So many things that we think is the devil, it's not the devil. It's the Father allowing the things so that we can submit to Him. Because the more we submit to the Father, the less the enemy has on you. I don't fight a devil. It doesn't feature in my life. I don't walk around fighting a devil. Because whatever comes in my life, I say, okay, Father, is this your doing? I could look at it as the devil. But then I'm going to fight the devil, but then I'm going to miss out in what the Father's doing. So how many times do we pray prayers that's the Father allowing things in our lives and we're praying things away because we don't like what we're going through. And meantime, we are resisting who? Abba. Because He's bringing this into your life to bring you into submission to Him. And when this thing comes, it comes into your life for you to learn to submit to Him. And as you submit to Him, then the enemy has no foothold over you. I don't need to worry about the devil in my life. He doesn't bother me. Because I'm not thinking about what he's doing. The only time I have to worry when things start going on in my life, I say, Father, where's the open door? Have I perhaps opened the door so that the enemy has the right to come into my life, which means there's an area in my life that I'm not in submission to Him. So the only time that the enemy can come and start to steal, kill, and destroy is when there's an area in your life that is not in submission to the Father. Because when every area of your life is in submission to the Father, the enemy has nothing on you. Do you see how different it is to what we've been taught? We've been taught we just fight the devil all the time. But the devil ain't going to torment you if there's nothing in your life that is open for him to torment you in. And yes, there's times that you're going to go through things because you're in this world. You're going to go through persecution because if you walk in the light, you will be persecuted. And there's things that happen in your life that will happen, like car accidents, like, there's hijackings, there's things that happen in our lives because it's part of what we are in a fallen world. But it's up to you to decide whether you're going to allow it to get to you or not. It's for you to decide that this is either going to make you listen It's either going to make you better or bitter. So whatever comes in your life is either going to make you better or bitter. So you're either going to become bitter about it and go into unforgiveness and difficult, carry it in your heart, or it's either going to allow you to make you a better person in saying, okay, Father, so this has come and, what can you better in this? And learning to forgive the person and learning to release the person, because maybe Father has allowed this in your life because you're going to help someone else down the road that's going to have the same situation, and He's allowed that in your life because you're going to have to help someone else. So if we go look at Genesis, what was it that actually happened to Eve? Did Eve just decide that she's going to eat from this tree? No. Because right in the beginning, let's go look. I'm going to put this side in as well. Praise you, Abba. Let's go look at Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2 verses 15 to 17. This is Abba Yahuwah speaking. And he's speaking to Adam. And this is before Eve has even been created. And he says, and Yahuwah Elohah took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to guard it. And Yahuwah Elohah commanded the man, saying, eat of every tree of the garden, but do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall certainly die. So there he's telling him, do not eat of that tree, because if you do, you shall certainly die. Now, we go and look at Genesis chapter 3 from verse 1. And the Nahesh, the serpent, was more crafty than all the lives of the field, which Yahuwah Elohah had made. And he said to the woman, is it true that Elohah has said, do not eat of every tree of the garden? So why did he go to the woman? Why not the man? Because he didn't go to the man, he went to the woman. And we are going to see why did he go to the woman. So let's look and see. And the woman said to the Nahesh, we are to eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohah has said, do not eat it, nor touch it, lest you die. Now look on the page before. Did he say anything about touch it? So why did she say do not touch it? Where did that come from? So, okay, why does the enemy go to Eve? Eve has been given a lie. Somewhere a lie has come into the Garden of Eden. So now you must understand, we are women. Women are very inquisitive beings. If you go to a party and you were invited to a party, and your husband goes, but you didn't go. The husband comes back, and if he asks the man and he says, how was it? Oh no, it was fine, and so-and-so was there, and that's it. What is the wife going to say? So who was there? And what was she wearing? And what did you do? And what did they say? And what went on? We want to know the finer detail of everything. Because that's the way we are. We will want to know all the details. Listen to a man when a man has a conversation with a man. They play a golf game and that's what it is. Go and ask a woman. She will fill in all the dots and all the T's and all the crosses and all the everything. Because that's the way the Father made us. We are different. We are attention to detail. Because we want to feel the thing. We want to know everything of how it happened. So, he saw this woman that the Father gave him and he said, look, she's different to me. So you know what, she's too inquisitive now already, and she's probably asking him, why mustn't I eat it? So he says, look, you know what, don't even touch it. Don't eat it and don't touch it. Somanetsua. Just like that, so that she must just get the picture. Because otherwise, he's going to see, this woman is different to me. Because he must have seen she was different. Yeah. Exactly. Do you understand? So he saw that there was something different about this woman. So therefore, maybe not even on purpose. Not even on purpose. That he said, do not eat. Don't even touch it. It wasn't that he deliberately went to be able to go and give her a lie. But someone was in that garden that heard that. So the difference is, you see, Eve got second-hand information and not direct revelation. Abba Yahuwah did not speak to her directly and say to her, do not eat from this tree. She had her husband giving her information, telling her, don't eat it and don't touch it. So when the Nahesh came, he didn't go to the husband. He went to Eve. Because he knew he was going to be able to deceive her. Because when there's a lie, it's easy for you to be deceived. Because if you believe a lie, it's easy for you to be able to be deceived. But when you have truth, when you know that you know that you know, who's going to change your mind? Who's going to change your mind when you know that you know that you know? If Father speaks to you in your ear and you know this is what He said to you, you are not to eat pork, or you are not to eat this, or you are not to do this, you know that you know and you don't do it. But when someone else has taught you that, then how do you know whether it's true or whether it's not? Because it's only man telling you that. But when man tells you something, then you can still maybe waver. But when the Father tells you, you will not waver. So the serpent never went to man, the serpent went to Eve. Now listen to what happens. And the Nahesh said to the woman, you shall not certainly die. So now he's telling her, but you're not going to die. And this is how the Father showed me this. For Yahuwah knows that in the day that you eat it, your eyes will be opened, and you shall be like Yahuwah, knowing good and evil. So when he did this, he's standing, and he says to her, you shall not certainly die, and picks the fruit from the tree. And he hasn't died.
Ja, want daar's gesê jy moet dit nie touch nie.
Dis reg. And if she was told, you will not eat it, nor must you touch it, if he's touched it and he hasn't died, now he's deceived her. Because that means if she's going to eat of it, she's not going to die either, because she touched it and she didn't die. So now, what the Father showed me played out of here is that he gave it to her. Now, Eve saw, she's touching it, she hasn't died. Eve saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree desirable to make one wise, and took its fruit. Okay, so she's seen the tree, he's holding it in his hand, she took the fruit and ate. So she took it, she didn't die. He didn't die, she didn't die. So now it becomes a temptation. But why? Because we're deceived. Eve was deceived. Adam blatantly disobeyed, but Eve was deceived because there was a lie. Now do you understand when I'm saying to you, Father wants truth in the innermost parts? Because whatever our religious systems has done to us, bringing us things that we've added to this word that is a lie, that is not the truth, that thing will eventually bring us into bondage when we cannot do it. Verstaan jy? And that is why Father wants to strip us, to stand before Him naked, to eat from the tree of life, and to be able to be in the shalom and reflect His beauty without any external things being put on us. Because then the enemy has nothing on us. See, the enemy can only bring things on you when he knows that there's an open door. Just like Eve. He knew she was the one that was deceived. That's why he went for her, not for Adam. Because he couldn't deceive Adam. Because Adam would have told him straight, listen here, don't come talk nonsense to me. I know that you are not even to be able to, you're not to eat it, because you will die. So she didn't die a physical death. She died a spiritual death. So do you see, all these extra lies that we have, spiritually, it's going to have us dead to Abba Yahuwah and to His ways. So the more we add things of religion and customs and traditions, the more dead we will be within us, because we're eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and there's no life giving source to be able to make us be who the Father created us to be. Because now we're trying to impress Him with our customs and our traditions. And there's no life in it. And at the end of the day, that's why He's going to say, now listen carefully, that's why He's going to say in Matthew chapter 7 verses 21 to 23, many will come in that day and say, but Yeshua, we cast out demons in your name, we prophesied in your name, we did all these mighty things in your name. He says, I do not know you. You practiced lawlessness. Why? Because you didn't come and eat from the tree of life that came from my Father. You have been doing your works and trying to impress me with your works that brings no life. You see? And that is why He wants us to come back to eating from the tree of the Garden of Eden. That's the tree of life. Because when we learn to eat from that which He gives us, that is what's going to bring life. So don't go run around with things that He never told you to do. Don't go do things that He never told you to do. So even if you go do all these good works that He never told you to do, if all you're supposed to do is to sit with your children and teach your children, don't now try and go and save the world if that's not what He told you to do. Because if that's where He wants you to be, that's where your blessing is. And that's where you are eating from the tree of life, in the impartation of the things that He's got for you to do into those children. But you see, that's the problem. We're always trying to be like someone else. We're always trying to do what someone else is doing. And then we think this is a bigger thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm not in the shalom of where I'm supposed to be, because now I start eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So, truth cannot be compromised. Truth is truth. So we cannot compromise the truth. That's why I am the kind of person that I say, is it in the Word? And there are some things that's not in the Word, but then I need to be able to know that I've got it confirmed with 2 or 3 witnesses for me to know this is what Abba wants me to do. Because we need to be sheep that hear His voice, speaking voice, and then we need to be sheep that are written voice. So we need to know His written word, and we need to obey His written word, but we need to obey His spoken word. And if you don't know for sure that this is the Father, then He will confirm it with 2 or 3 witnesses that will come along, so that you know that it's Him that's speaking. Just like my friend had been telling me that I'm Jewish, and I said to her, nah. And then I come to Israel, I have 3 women telling me, no, 4. You Jewish, are you Jewish? And then I have him tell me, this is what you are. So he will confirm it out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. So that you know that it is Him speaking. If you doubt that it's Him speaking. If you are still testing His voice. If you're still not sure how He speaks. Then you can say, Father, please confirm it out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. And He will. And He will. So, truth that has been compromised is a lie. So when we compromise the truth, then it becomes a lie. So if you know that this is the truth and this is what you must do, and if you compromise that for the sake of pleasing people, what are you doing? You live a lie. So that which the Father tells you to do, and you do not do because you're compromising it, because you are still worrying about what people are trying to say, then you are going to live a lie. Because you compromise the truth. For the sake of living a lie to impress people or to please people. We are not here to please people. We are here to please Abba Yahuwah. You did not come here to please yourself, and you did not come here to please people. You came here to please Him first. And well, you see, this is how He showed me. See, when we love Abba Yahuwah with all our heart, with all our mind, with all our soul, and we look to Him, then we can outstretch our hands and we can be like Yeshua, that will be at the stake. And that is the fullness of Torah, which is going to be loving Abba first. When I love Abba first, then Abba Yahuwah's love will be in my heart, and then it's easy for me to extend my hands out to the people. But if I'm trying to extend my hands out to the people without loving Abba first, then it's just a work of my flesh, because it's not going to come from Abba. Then I'm just doing a bunch of works, and that is going to become death to me, because it's going to become a work that's going to tire me out eventually. Because it's not going to come from the Ruach. But when I love Him first, and my eyes are on Him, and I'm focusing on Him, and He's everything that I desire is for Him, then He pours His love in me, and automatically my hands stretch out, and automatically I can love my fellow believer. And I can embrace them, and I can love them. But it starts with where? First loving Him. Then I stretch out my arms. And what was Yeshua doing? Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So when your love for Him is above everything else, even if they're going to be stoning you, even if they're going to be putting you in prison, you are going to understand that it is His purpose and His plan, and you're going to still love that person. Like Stephen that was being stoned and saying, Father, forgive them, just like Yeshua. And those are the days that we're going to come into. But you see, where does it start? We are trying to gain religion, we are trying to learn knowledge, but we are not focusing on loving Him. When we focus on loving Him, everything else comes so naturally. It's not even a work. The Word opens up to you. Everything opens up to you because your heart is opened up to Him. And when your heart is opened up to Him, He pours everything you need into you. It's so simple. But we try to do it all the other way around because we're so busy eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We're trying to obtain something that we cannot obtain, as opposed to just trying to allow the Father to change us to become more like Him. Because isn't that what we're supposed to be? Becoming more like Him, reflecting Yeshua on this earth. He took Yeshua and He gave us His Ruach so that we could become more Yeshuas on this earth that can reach the people. He wanted more sons and daughters, isn't it? Because we are to become the sons and daughters of Yahuwah. So, truth that has been compromised is a lie. When you believe a lie for so long, that becomes your truth, even if it is a lie. So, verstaan julle? When a lie has become a lie for you for so long, it becomes your truth, even if it is a lie. So that is why you can go speak to some Christians and you can tell them this message, and they will not accept it because their truth is actually a lie, but that's their truth, and you cannot change their truth because they've believed the lie. And that is exactly what happens. The same as the Jews. If you try and speak to the Jew about Yeshua, they cannot accept him because they've believed the lie of the rabbis to say that he's evil and that he's an accursed man and that you are to spit on the ground and say, Yeshu, let him be accursed. Because why? Not because they've ever gone and researched for themselves, but because they have believed the lie of the rabbis. And all the rabbis keep giving them lie after lie after lie, and this becomes their truth. And even if you are a Jew that's not even religious, they still don't even want to hear about this man. Because they've heard from their ancestors for how many generations that this is, you don't accept that. It is not to be received. That's the lie. And so until you can come and show them, not necessarily in your talking, but in your walking, that they will see the light in you, then you start to win them over. That is why in that land there's nothing that I condemn more than these missionaries that go there to talk about Jesus to these Jewish people. Because they just do more damage than they do good. Because they're stripping them from an identity that they have and taking them into another. They've come from one religion straight into another religion. The same as the Torah movement, because I'll speak about that. So this Torah movement, there are many doctrines that people follow that they believe we desire knowledge to make one wise more than hearing the voice of Abba Yahuwah. And that's what happens in the Torah movement. In the Torah movement, it's let's go and study the Mishnah, let's go study the Talmud, let's go study all these things that the rabbis study to gain more knowledge. For what? You don't even know how to discern the voice of the Father. But now you're wanting to read and study and read what the rabbis study. Yeshua told them that they brood of vipers. Yeshua told them, you brood of vipers. Because they will follow the letter of the word more than they follow the ruach of the word. But now we want to follow the same suit. So it says that people follow that they believe we desire knowledge to make one wise more than hearing the word, more than hearing the voice of Abba Yahuwah. And it all depends what our backgrounds are and what churches we come from. Because we will be more influenced by the belief systems of what we have come from, and we filter truth from the doctrines that we have received. So the Messianic Jew who has come from Judaism, his thinking is coming to be more from the mindset of the culture of the belief system that has been taught him. And now we will cultivate a Bible like the complete Jewish Bible. The man that wrote the complete Jewish Bible will filter his belief systems through that Bible based on his doctrines of what he's believed as a Jew. Now we will read that Bible, and that Bible will say God, and that Bible will say Adonai, and that Bible will not say Abba Yahuwah's name, because he's still filtered from a belief system that you are not allowed to speak the Father's name. And so because of that, he's brought a Bible that comes with the influence of his religious doctrine. Do you understand? So everything will filter through. That's why I say, I can listen to a prophetic word from a person who's coming out of the church, and I can hear how it's filtered through the belief system of what they believe. So I can listen to that prophetic word and say, this is not what the Father's saying. But because their belief system, they believe the doctrines of the religious system that they have followed, they will filter that vision or that dream based on where they come from, because that's what they know. So someone can be seeing something and filter it as it's a rapture that's going to happen, and this is the rapture that's going to take place, and I sit and I listen to this and I say, no, you are filtering that because that's what you've been taught and that's your belief system, and that's why you see it as a rapture, but it's not really a rapture, because it's more the fact of a protection, but it's not a rapture. But you're not going to understand that because that's what you've been taught all your life. And so when you come into, for example, if you come straight out of the Embark into the Torah movement, you will be void completely of the Ruach of Yahuwah. And all you're going to want is going to be more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge. And you're just going to read the Bible and acquire more knowledge. But there's no Ruach, because in the Embark, the Ruach wasn't even operating, was it? No, they didn't have the infilling of the Spirit of Yahuwah. And so now you're going to become very religious. And that is why most of them eventually deny Yeshua, and then they go into Judaism. Why? Because they were void of having the Ruach there, because in Judaism they don't have the Ruach. So because they don't have the Ruach of Yahuwah, it's easy to follow a traditional system. So the Embark and religious systems are used to traditions. So that is why Judaism appeals to them, because Judaism is customs and traditions, and that's why it's so easy to embrace it. Because it's already what you came from. And you're used to a structure, and you're used to a system, because that's the system that was there, and that's the structure that helps you to function. And so it's so easy to come into that culture, and it's so easy to come coming into a culture of being able to do customs and traditions, because that's what you've been doing for how many years in your traditional churches. But when the Ruach of Yahuwah is there, it will kick every single religious demon out, because it hates religion. Because religion brings you into bondage, because it gets you to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And it's going to put things on you, and it's not going to allow you to be free. And you see, from the day that I got saved, that's been my mission. From the moment I got up from that floor, I was already sent on a mission. Imagine, I just received the Ruach of Yahuwah in the Catholic Church. One day I can give you my testimony. In the Catholic Church. And then I go straight to go learn how to do a course and bring it back to my church. A person that was never religious. I never knew religion. Because up till the age of 30, I never went to church. I'd never been to church at Easter. I'd never been to church at Christmas. I'd never been to church because I wasn't religious. My parents never brought me up being religious. I remember going to church until I was 10 years old. And then after that, I only went to church, weddings, baptisms, and funerals. That was it. So when we now received the Spirit of Yahuwah, and I received Yeshua, and I received the Spirit of Yahuwah, my Catholic brothers and sisters tried to put religion on me, and I rebelled. And every place I went, I rebelled. And they'd say, Natalia, why are you so rebellious? I said, but it's not in the Word. If it's not in the Word, I can't do it. Why you want to pray a rosary? What are you praying a rosary for? I can't see it in the Word yet, but why are you praying a rosary? I received the Ruach of Yahuwah, so why must I pray a rosary? And they were trying to put their tradition and their religion on me, and I rebelled. And that is how I've been for the last 20 years. I've been rebelling against religious systems because I can't stand the religious system.
Can I ask you something? The
Sure.
blessings the Jews do, they've got blessings for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How religious is that? Is that really how the Father wants you to be? Do you really think that now, before I go drink my water, I need to go and say a blessing before I drink it? Do you really think it's necessary? Do I have a relationship with my Father? But they checked me out. Now I'll tell you what they said to me. So I had the one young man, just to show you, just to tell you about this blessing story. So, now understand, I'm in Israel now. I dress the part. I dress as if I'm a religious Jewish woman. But I'm far from that, because there's not a religious bone in me. So, I go into the shop. I don't kiss the mezuzah before I enter into the shop. But this young boy has been checking me out, unbeknown to me. He's been checking me out, Rami. So I go into the shop. I don't kiss the mezuzah. And now we're coming there. We've just come from temperature outside of 38, 40 degrees. I'm boiling hot. I've just walked to get there because we got no car, so we got to walk to get there. And now I'm so hot. I say, Rami, have you got some water? And I go and I get my water and I drink it. I'm not, and now all this time, he's been watching me, unbeknown to me. Because Rami to me was a worldly boy. He wasn't religious, he wasn't wearing any kippah, wasn't wearing any tzitziot, he wasn't anything, he wasn't religious. So, we come. Most of our furniture, a lot of our furniture, a lot of our kitchen things and all the little things that we need. This was the city shop that sold everything. So it's like a Mr. Price. No, not a Mr. Price. It's more like a warehouse that sells everything. You know, it's got a bit of everything in there, from furniture to everything. And he couldn't understand. So the one day he still said, because the Jews are very rude. So he'd be busy with us, but then one would come in there and start to just speak, interrupt us so that he can help him. And he'd say, sorry. I said, no, it's fine. And by this time, it's like 3 people already interrupted, but we would wait. Patience, we would wait. And we would never get upset with him or scream and shout and get upset because now he must help him. I mean, he was helping us first. Don't you come and interfere. No, we just waited. We had all the time in the world, and we waited. And then one day he turned around and he said, you people are so different. I said, why? No, you're just different. You don't get upset. You don't, you're just so peaceful. You don't, because he's used to the Jews that will just be rude and obnoxious. We would not even get upset because now he's busy giving us attention, and we don't even get upset because of that. So one day, he comes to my house, and he comes and he delivers some of my furniture to me. So he came to deliver the furniture. So he goes and he kisses his mezuzah, even though he's not religious, but he still kisses the mezuzah when he comes inside and everything. And so we start talking. He says, wow, Natalia, you've got such a beautiful place here. He says, sure, it's a lovely place. And he says to me, I really pray that Hashem make a way for you to be able to come, to Israel. So I said, yeah, but the problem is, you know what, the rabbis don't want to accept the fact that I am Jewish. He says it's a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of BS. I thought, bull dust, So I thought, okay. So I said, what do you mean? He says, you know what? I studied with those rabbis for 5 years. Now I thought, okay. He went to the yeshiva for 5 years. Studied with the rabbis for 5 years. He says, and let me tell you something. It's a bunch of BS. He says, but you, there's something about you. You the real deal. Sure. He says, you the real thing. He says, whatever you got is real. So I studied with them looking for something that was to be real. But I only found that they're only about money. All they want is your money. And they know real deal. And they're all the same. And it's a bunch of BS. Because at the end of the day, they teach you one thing, but they don't live it. He says, but you, whatever you got, you mustn't lose it. Don't be contaminated by these rabbis. Because you have the real deal. And then I thought to myself, oh my goodness, okay, so this boy's been checking me out. Now, if he studied at the yeshiva for 5 years, it means he says, you see, that's the thing. I see you different. Because you're not doing all these things, but yet I see the way you live. And yet you're different. So then he started making jokes with me. So when I would come there, and now he knows that I don't follow these things. And now I'll say, Robbie, sure, I'm so hot, get me the water. So I start to go and I drink this. He says, I didn't see you do the bracha. And I say, Romy, he says, I'm just joking. Go ahead, drink your water. But you see, he had already been checking me for how long? For months. He's watched our behavior. He's watched the way we were walking. He watched my halakha. He watched my walk. I wasn't doing the religious things, but yet he was able to tell the difference between the fact that the rabbis do all these brachas and do all the blessings over every little thing, and when you walk through the door you've got to kiss the mezuzah and do all your thing, but at the end of the day treat them like rubbish, and it's all about money. And they don't live what they teach anyway. But I don't know anything of what they do, because I wasn't brought up being taught by the rabbis, and my father never allowed me to go that route, because he wanted me to be led by his ruach. And by me being led by the ruach, you know what happened? By the time Robbie left that shop, I was able to minister to him about Yahushua. And I gave him a Bible, a complete Bible, from Genesis to Revelation. And I told him about his Messiah. And you know what he said to me? He said, Natalia, because it comes from you, and I know your life, I will accept it, because I've seen that there's something different about you. He says, but if it came from anybody else, I would not have accepted it. And I said, Rami, can I pray for you? And he says, please. I start to pray for him. Do you know, then he says, how did you know that was the problem? I said, what do you mean? I started to pray about breaking curses over what his wife was speaking over him, because him and his wife were being separated. Unbeknown to me, that he then says to me, how did you know that? I said, what do you mean? He says, how did you know that my wife was putting curses on me? I said, I didn't know, I just prayed. He said, wow. I said, you see, that's the spirit of the Father that got me to speak your problem. So out of me speaking, praying, and so he was leaving there, and he went to Mezion, another place that he went, and I never heard from him again. But I believe that the seed that was sown into, and imagine this, his mother had gone to him and said, Romy, why don't you go and see the rabbi? I will see no rabbi, because him and his wife were having problems. I will see no rabbi. They will not tell me anything that's going to help me. And he said, but Natalia, what advice do you have to give me? So I started to give him advice. And I started to say to him, Romy, pick up your Tanakh. Start to read the Bible. He says, I started to put Tefillim again. I said, Tefillim is good, it's fine, it's no problem. Tefillim is good, but you need to cry out to Hashem that He revealed Himself to you, and He gave you the Mashiach, Yeshua. He is your Mashiach, and you start to cry out to Him. And then I gave him a little book that was how to be saved, because, you know, I'm not an evangelist, so I don't know how to get you saved, like, you know. I just preach to you, but I won't know how to go through the whole process. But I'd been given a little book that was all in Hebrew, how for them to work through the salvation prayer. And to this day, I'd have never heard from Rami again, but I believe that the Father has worked in his life, and that he's going to raise up and be a mighty man of Yahuwah.
I want to ask something else. The blessing on the menorah on Fridays, before we lit the menorah, I don't see any place in the Bible where they lit a menorah.
I don't even light the candles for the Shabbat. For what? You're not even supposed to light candles.
It's just, I just want to say that the Ruach, so long ago, showed me that it's not right to do it, But then we thought, maar dit is wat ons nou geleer het. Dis ons wat nou afwyk van.
Yeah, explain them what you are doing when you are invited by Jews or whatever.
So if I've got Jewish people coming to me and say, see, I told you, I am not religious and I don't want to be in a box. And that is why the Father has never allowed me to go. And even though I could be in Israel now going through conversion and I wouldn't have had to be going in and out. But He never allowed me that route. Can you imagine? I would throw my toys out the cot just like Yahushua did. Because He came up against them and so will I. So when they come, and I have Jewish friends. So we invited my landlady to come and have supper with us. So I know that the right thing to do, and I mean in my town, we have the Hasidic Jews live there. And the just 500 meters down the road is their shul, is their synagogue. So they play a music in my town when you know that it's now time to light, that the Shabbat is coming in, and it's now time to light the candles. So the music starts to play, and when the music starts to play, now you know Shabbat is coming in. Okay, but it's easier for us because already from 2 o'clock all the shops are closed, so you're already home preparing. But now I know they were already there, and now the music is starting to play. Now I know, okay, we're supposed to light candles. So what did I do? I went and I took my candles, and I've got my candles there. So I've got all my Jewish things. I've got all my Tanakh, I've got all my Siddurs. So in the front, for those that come to my house, they all think she's very, she's a Jew. But then in my bedroom, and in Elsie's bedroom is all my Bibles and all my books and everything else, but they cannot see. So I took my candles and I lit them. Did I pray the prayer out loud? Did I pray? I don't even know what the prayer is in the Siddur because I've never even so much as tried to even memorize. Like, I'm going to go pray for sure that out there. I can't, no lie is going to come from my lips. So what am I going to pray? Thank you, Father, that you have commanded me. Baruch atah Yehu Eloheinu melech haolam, and that you have commanded me to kindle the light. To light the candles. Where? Yeah. Where has He commanded me in this Bible that I am to light the candle? And it's telling me, and you have commanded me to light a candle. Where does it tell you that? It's not in the Bible, so how can I speak that out of my mouth? No lie will be found upon your lips. I cannot pray that. So you know what I pray? I stand there, and then under my breath, I say, thank you, Father. So I stand with my candles, I light the one. I like the other. I say, Father, now to myself, where she cannot hear. Thank you, Father, that as I light these candles, I've lighted for the house of Israel and for the house of Yehuda. And I thank you, Father, that they will become one and that you make them become one. And as I light these candles, they will become one candle because you are the light and they will be one in you. And thank you for your Ruach and that your Ruach comes and fills this place. And thank you that you'll be, and when she thinks I've done my prayer, amen, and off I go. And then she'll say, hi, Matilda, can I also come and do a prayer? I say, please help yourself. But I didn't pray it loud because she didn't hear me.
So you'll have to repent for letting that candles.
Exactly, because you have been speaking a lie. Since when does it tell you that He commanded you? Where did He command you? How can you pray a prayer saying He commanded you to light the candle?
And opening Shabbat?
What do you pray for opening Shabbat?
What I mean is, when we open Shabbat, I know we've been doing it a bit different, but with the wine and the bread and whatever.
Oh, to do the bracha for the wine and all of that. But that's like taking communion.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that.
But
I don't do wine though.
You do the Jewish blessing too.
No, we do. I do still do the Jewish blessing. I say Baruch atah Yehu Eloheinu melech haolam amotz lechem mi haaretz. Or I do.
In die woord is daar bless the bread, bless the wine.
Yes,
but
it
it's
does
not
tell
in the
you.
word, bless the candles,
No,
bless the...
no. So what's in the word? My Messiah did that.
Yeah.
But my Messiah did not go do all these other things.
So it's just the bread and the grapes.
That's right. That I do. But candles, and I don't. If I feel like doing it, I do. I am led by the Ruach. So if He leads me to light the candles, I light them. Even when my leader of the place where I used to be, who also wants to do a lot of these Jewish things, he came to my house. I invited him over for Shabbat, and I said to him straight, I said, I want you to understand something. I put the candles here. I don't light candles like you do. And I'm not going to pray the prayer that you pray. I said, but I will pray my prayer. I lit my candles and I prayed. And that was the first time that I lit those candles. And these were the candle holders given to me from Jerusalem. They were in the city of Jerusalem. And my friend gave them to me. And when she gave them to me, she said, Natalia, may this be a reminder to you that when you light these candles, that the Father called you back to the land of where you belong. So guess when that night was the first time I went to light those candles. And I lit those candles and I prayed the prayer and I said, Father, I thank you that you will bring my ancestors from the four corners of the earth and that you will bring them home like you will bring me home. And as I light these candles, they will be symbolic of the house of Israel and the house of Judah that will become one house, and that the house of Israel needs to return back, and I am one of those that will be grafted in. Not long after that, I never lit those candles again, and not long after that, that was when my house sold and I went to Israel. That's what the Father did. Yeah, so let me just switch us off and then let us go into questions.
Ja, nou gaan